Howdy, my name's Dave Schade. I'm the director of the Division of Ag here in the state of Alaska. Sorry we're late. I was coming up here to Fairbanks to do some work, and Alaska Airlines didn't have enough stewardesses for our plane, so we got delayed a couple hours. So we had some other meetings, and Curtis and I went and did those. And so anyway, today I have the great privilege of being in Fairbanks in nice, relatively balmy weather, real nice today. And Curtis Knight has been running our Fairbanks office for us for a number of years now. And so I thought, since I'm going to be up here and we're going to be going out to Delta and doing some work tomorrow, Curtis and I chat a little bit, and he could explain that there is agriculture, and actually a lot of it up here in the interior region. Talk a little bit about his leadership on the task peony grant that we're working on. And then all of the forest inspections, Curtis has done a lot of traveling this year for forest exports, which are close to $100 million of exports from Alaska. A really, really big deal. So a key player in the division, somebody I really enjoy working with. So with that, I'll let you introduce yourself, Curtis, and yeah, maybe you can tell everybody how long you've been here and kind of some of the general outline of the division and how we're organized here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my name is Curtis Knight. So I'm here in the Fairbanks agriculture office, and we are located in the DNR building off of Airport Way. So we've been here. I started working with the Division of Ag in 2006. And had the opportunity to work on all kinds of programs for the division since that time, and with DNR, everything from land programs to pest detection programs to our phytosanitary certification programs, marketing programs, and so it's really been an exciting time here, being a part of actually kind of wearing a lot of different hats depending on the day, you know, that we're and the job that we need to do. So so yeah, the staff right now at this point is down to me, but we're working on getting some folks back up in the northern region, which is great. I'm real excited about that, to be able to grow this office again, and that's going to be real exciting. So a lot of what I do is with our a lot of my time this past year and for a few years actually has been with working with our phytosanitary certification and export programs. So if for plant industries wanting to export to other countries, those countries may require having a plant health or phytosanitary certificate inspection to get the certificate to be able to certify that those commodities meet those importing requirements or plant health requirements for those exports. So whether it's depending on the commodity, whether it's peonies or timber, or if it's seeds or potatoes or whatever, depending on where those exports go, they may need to be certified. So that's what we do. We have staff in Palmer, and I cover it up here and statewide. So that's kind of a lot of what I do with phytosanitary certification, and it gets interesting because we also help to get market access. So one big project actually that we're working on that's going to help our phytosanitary program is with the peony. David mentioned the TASK project, which is I know we're acronyms. It's a Technical Assistance for Specialty Crops, and it's funded through the Foreign Ag Service, USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, and the purpose of that project is actually to help eliminate trade barriers associated with insect species of thrips that we have in Alaska that might be associated on those flowers that other countries might be of concern. So for example, Western flower thrips or something like that. So we needed ways to be able to identify those resources, identify those insects in state. And we also are working on ways to eliminate them. So part of the project is working on the identification part of that. We're going to have, we're working with our partners with down in entomologists and at Washington State University. And we have ARS, Agricultural Research Services, is doing some components on that. We're also have some components of that project where we've involved the University of Alaska Fairbanks and their campuses. So there's a lot of moving parts on that, but we're going to have, you know, at the end of this project for these growers or for that industry, we'll have the identification, morphological and molecular, so like DNA, to be able to basically speed up that identification time, as well as having that resource available for growers who might be interested in IPM and also monitoring for other thrips or species that might get introduced into Alaska. So it'll tie into our pest detection activities. It's got a lot of beneficial, you know, I think there's a lot of benefits associated with that. And then we're also, another component of that is working on post-harvest treatment methods. So basically fumigation options or options for treatment of the cut flowers post-harvest, you know, so everything can get killed on the flowers. So that'll help our certification process for being able to certify if it's going to a country and they say, we don't want this type of thrips on there, then we'll be able to more confidently certify those exports. So that's been taking up a lot of time with my life here with the division. And of course, I mentioned our lands program, and Dave, you could probably talk a little bit about that too with the with some of that's going on. I think we have some big opportunities for ag up in the interior on that.
Right. So we just had delivered from Quantum Spatial the LiDAR and the photography for our Nenana Tawcheket project, 180,000 acres. They did a great job flying this year. We have that, you know, a couple of terabytes of data, so that as we work on developing that program, 50,000 acres of ag land to start or so, which we're working with the Division of Mining, Land and Water to put that gigantic subdivision, as you might call it, together. So, you know, Curtis has helped us. We've been out there. We got the bridge built last year. So there's been a lot of interest in the region. I know there's still a lot of interest up in Delta where we're going tomorrow. So maybe you can kind of describe the different areas and kind of what people are growing up here. Because I know you do a lot of timber work, you do a lot of peonies, and I know there's potatoes and other things.
Yeah. So yeah, potatoes, hay crops, I think, grow well up here. So I think there's potential for a lot of different industries to kind of move out into that into the Nenana Tawcheket area. Yeah, we have I think one of the largest, the big ag project, obviously down in Delta Junction. We'll be down there tomorrow. A lot of hay and grass crops down there, so I think there's opportunities for those industries, you know, as they move in and develop that new land. The one thing that's interesting, you know, just seeing how agriculture gets developed up here, it's a little different because you're taking, you know, forested land essentially and turning it into ag land. So it's a big process. I mean, it takes years to do that. When you buy the land from the state, you know, there's a time frame that you have usually on these on, you know, depending on the land sale, but you'll have a time period to get that clearing done, and to get your clearing requirements, there's a certain percentage of acreage that you have to clear, and that's defined in the land. You know what that is before it's based on the, you know, the croppable ground that's been identified with the soil surveys and whatnot. And that's where that LiDAR is going to become helpful, as well as working with NRCS to enhance our understanding of the soils out there. So we'll be able to better identify what's what's really good and suitable ag ground. Yeah, with as far as other industries, well, there's a red meat industry potential for expanding. So I think that's probably help me out here, Dave, I guess on that.
Yeah. So like you said, I mean, people don't realize there's a lot of flowers being grown up here. I mean,
yeah.
back to your exports and your phyto, how many stems did you certify out of here last year? I was pretty impressed, even though it was a down year. I've heard that a lot of flowers went to the United States instead of out of state.
Yeah,
but you still did certifications as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, with cut flowers, a lot of the markets are domestic, from what I understand, and the ones that we certified mostly have been test shipments. So we've, over the years of that industry, the cut flower industry growing in the state, there's been test shipments over to Asia and United Kingdom and European Union and whatnot. So I think it's the demand is there. From what I hear back from industry, it's just getting those markets established. So the peony industry, it becomes a pretty intense season, into June, July, and that's usually when that demand comes for certifying the exports. And so this year we actually had certifications going out every week, and that's been great. So that was kind of a first. In the past, it's usually been a couple of big shipments or one shipment out. And so it's good to see some consistency being developed. And so we'll see what happens next year, and hopefully some of those markets that those growers are getting into become consistent. Without throwing any too exact numbers, but yeah, it's been in the thousands that we're up to. So it's we've had I think 1 year, I think I had 70 something thousand that stems that I looked at, and then last year was somewhere between 15 and 20. So that's a pretty good number that's just for what we're certifying export. That doesn't say anything to what the industry's actually doing. So those are just exports that are they're going places that need phytosanitary certification.
And I think, that with part of our marketing people, when we've talked to the people from Canada and that, I mean, the numbers can grow. There's no doubt that the market is much larger, and we're working on that. And I know that I was really surprised when we were just looking at the number of shipments of logs we did out of state this year. And so, you might just kind of give them a rundown of the different kinds of logs we're shipping and where they're coming from, and
absolutely
some inspections this year.
Yep. So this year was a pretty big year. So when I first started working with our phyto export program, it was probably around 2011, and I started working with our timber industry about that time. Most of the timber in Alaska is either private timber or state or municipal timber that's being sold. A lot of private timber, obviously, but if that gets shipped out, it's going to Asia. So the big countries, China, Japan, Korea, and even Canada have been targets for markets for our timber industry. Spruce obviously is a major component of those exports. Hemlock and spruce, I think, are the biggest, with some yellow and red cedar, small amounts of those species each year that gets exported. That's kind of a big operation when you're looking at harvesting and working with that industry. We're talking ships, and so that there's a timing. You've got the ships that are coming in, and you got to be there to do those inspections. These are in some very, very remote areas of Alaska, so it's challenging to get out to some of those locations. That industry is also getting inspected by other it's they have land contracts and forestry practices and everything else. We don't get into that. We just do the plant health inspection component of that industry. And so it's challenging with the travel to do that, because it's a lot of time in small airplanes and aircraft and float planes and that kind of thing. Does that kind of answer that?
And the one, and I really want to publicly thank you for all the extra efforts this year with COVID. It was really challenging.
Very. Yeah.
And making sure we didn't take COVID into the forest camp, making sure we didn't pick it up while we were out there. I know that you and I spent a lot of time working on a possible trip to South Korea, where we have a very unique opportunity to oversee fumigation and certification there, which we do to that really is a big marketing feather, or whatever you want to call it, for the industry. I mean, they know that the Chinese can't force them to go when they have other options. And so it's a big program that we do. We spend a lot of time getting ready for you to go over, and then that didn't work out. But I mean, COVID has been extremely difficult, added a lot of work to all of our inspections statewide. And so, we built some of the first DNR protocols on travel. We've worked really good, and I'm really proud of the way staff has got through the summer. We didn't catch COVID this summer with anybody. We didn't give it. I know there were a lot of extra nights out because of the lack of planes. And, I just really want people to know, despite all the difficulties we had, the team worked really, really hard to get out and make sure industry kept moving. And I want you to know that industry has been, I've heard the responses back. It was very much appreciated. All the different things that the inspection group and you in forestry, I think you handled all of forestry this year. That's very much appreciated by that industry. And so, I like to give credit where credit's due. And you had a really difficult summer trying to keep your personal life balanced with all the travel and the short notices, because everything was just so chaotic this year. Yeah. So thank you. So the other thing, I want people to know that we're going to be hiring here shortly. We're working on adding a natural resource specialist too, that you're going to supervise and have in the office here. And we expect that we'll have another industrial hemp position within the next year or so coming up here, because that's another new program that we're rolling out, that actually up here we really haven't got that far with, because it's just been writing the regs in that. But I know that we got things scheduled for more training for inspectors, because you're going to be out and about, and we'll be helping with that. So let's talk a little bit maybe about the different, what are the different things people can come in to talk to you about? Because we've kind of talked about if they need an inspection, land sales. Are there anything that we missed that people need to know, that if you don't do it here, you can get them down to the office, down to the Palmer area, one of our offices down there. So, anything you want to tell your constituency here? I'll just kind of back up just real quick and just tag on you with the COVID thing. That was, and this will tie into that. I think, and this is giving you credit, because you really got us behind the ball on developing our protocols, our safety plans to be able to actually do the work. Because a lot of the industries, they rely pretty heavily on these inspection services, because without it, they wouldn't be able to export to some of these countries. And so we were able to provide those certification services, not, for timber, for P&E. And also we were able to get staff on and up in the field to do field work this year with this technical assistance for specialty crop block project. When we got hit with, there's no travel and we didn't know what we were going to do, we had to develop those plans to be able to get those staff up here, so that we could actually get some work done on that project. Because that project has an end date, and there's a heavy field component and research component on that. So
what folks usually, when it's kind of a little difficult to come into the state offices right now, and hopefully we can get through that. Right now, it's just staff that's, actually we have it barricaded off in the front, but staff can, come in the back and whatnot. Of course, everybody, we have to follow the COVID protocols and whatnot, and everything that we all, know about. But when it's normal, when folks usually come in and we're able to sit down and help and talk with the general public, of course, the phone is always here. We can always talk on the phone, and if folks do want to come in, they're welcome to, and we can set up a time. Just make an appointment is probably the best way at this point. Just make an appointment, make sure somebody's there, and we do a good job. See, the Division of Ag, I mean, it's not just northern. It's Palmer and Fairbanks, and so we're kind of this extension. We try to service all these programs that are down in Palmer, and a lot of these programs are USDA programs from various departments in USDA, whether it's marketing, whether it's plant health inspection or whatnot. Those are all programs that we, in our small staff capacity, have to service here for Alaskans. And so that, and then we also have our DNR program. So like we just mentioned, land sales. So a lot of times when folks come into the office, they have questions about where they can buy ag land. I think that's probably the number one question I get from, of walk-ins or people calling up, or even folks from out of state. They have an interest in moving to Alaska, and they want to know where they can start a farm and how they can buy some land to do it. So that's probably the big question that we get. Other questions, of course, if every now and then we'll obviously I'll get like if somebody if it's a small shipment of something, or maybe it's a university that wants to send something to other research institutions, they may need phytosanitary certificates for doing that. We service those as well. And then of course in the summertime, it's if there's growers with the peony industry, it usually we try to ask that at least that they give us a heads up. Let us know if you're planning to export. Just let us know, and we'll make sure that we have staff available to be able to do those inspections. But I think lands is probably one of the bigger questions that we get, and also where to get money for doing it. So we get a lot of questions about what kind of loans are available for doing ag or supporting their agricultural operations, and those are things that I have enough knowledge on. I can talk about them, but of course we have people that deal directly with that are in the Palmer office, and so that's the challenge of being in the Fairbanks office. Like I said, we have to service all these programs, and I don't like to be the kind of person where it's if somebody calls in, I want to be able to talk knowledgeably about our programs, but we also have people that we're getting on board in Palmer that are spearheading these programs directly, and I'm I think with Dave's direction, we're seeing a lot more of that support here for this northern region, so that's been very helpful.
Well, good. So our time's just about up. I did again want to thank you for all your extra efforts this year. It's pretty exciting that we're actually going to get you classified as a manager. That's something that we're doing, that so the people realizes we're building and rescaling this office. I have people that tell me the Delta project it's a failure, and I'm like, well, then you haven't been out there lately. There's 1,000 acres being grown, and some people making good money with grass seed, and there's ranchers like we're going to go see tomorrow, and that. So I really try to promote the fact that there's a big, expansive agricultural industry up here, and it's going to grow. And you definitely are poised to have a lot of fun as we have new programs. ARLF, we just lowered the board lowered the interest rates for long-term loans 3%. So what we're trying to do as an agency is we're trying to support industry to help them. So, you know, Mandy Tung is our new NRS 3. She's, you know, does all ARLF. So she can help people with their applications. But if you need the contact here, Curtis is your guy, and he will help make sure that we know that we're getting you the services you need. And sometimes I know it's a lot easier if somebody can just point you in the right direction. And that's why we have a Fairbanks office, and why I'm so adamant that we're going to grow that quite a bit, because I think it's really important to have people on the ground, somebody that can come out and look at things. And then we, you know, we have a lot of plant folks in our plant material center, and we're up here certifying seed, and we're doing things a lot. So one of Curtis's skills is he has a lot of skill and across a lot of areas, which is really nice, from having done caps and can identify the pests and go out and do inspections and sign off things. So yeah, I mean, we all get to wear lots of hats in the division because we're so small, which kind of makes the job a lot more fun because it's got a lot of depth and breadth at the same time. So with that, you know, I really want to thank you for all you're doing. And John, did we have any questions before we sign off?
No questions at this time.
All right. Well, again, you know, I want to thank John. You are our technical guy. You get to hide behind the scenes most of the time, but I get a lot of compliments and comments that people really like, that we're getting our Facebooks updated. We're working on the website, and you've been key on getting us our pictures, and you run our Facebook lives for us. And I'm not the techie guy. We wouldn't do so well. So John, thank you for all you're doing. So Happy New Year, everybody. It's our new year. We're back up and running again. So with that, thanks. Have a great evening. We'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you. Yep.